Now, my What the Farage moment, and there are so many stupidities around the world, it's difficult to actually pick them. But please, folks at home, try this for size. The government removed the word female from the law governing medical procedures and replaced it with individuals just a few years ago. It is totally astonishing. And we have now, in this age of inclusivity, because inclusivity, of course, is absolutely everything. And we now have the Walton Centre NHS Foundation Trust in Liverpool that is asking male patients if they're pregnant before having their scans. And the reason, of course, is that if you're having a CT scan, an MRI scan, even a fairly standard X-ray, that if you're pregnant, there is, of course, potential risk to the unborn child. But that now applies to male patients as well, and they have to make sure on that form that the hospital knows that they are not pregnant. Are we simply losing our marbles here? And this isn't about being nasty to minorities. We're a modern country that is tolerant to minorities. But quite why the overwhelming vast majority have to go through nonsense like this, I just don't know. I don't see any benefit to it whatsoever. But it also says a lot about this so-called Conservative government, because they, in their own way, in so many ways, are actually, many of them, woke warriors themselves. Oh, but of course, at election time, they will tell you they're fighting cancel culture and they're standing up for free speech and traditional British values, and they'll do something about the universities. And they make these promises over and over. And millions of British people are taken in with it and say, thank goodness, they've come to their senses at last. And then absolutely nothing happens. And, I'm sorry, but this attempt to obliterate the identities, male and female, it is wholly ridiculous. By the way, Keir Starmer's party is in a far worse place than the Conservative government. They don't even want to tell you. They can't even define what a woman is. And I think there's a very, very big, silent majority out there that says this is all a complete load of rubbish. Now, secondly, on What the Farage, and this one makes me angry. Do you remember Sherilyn Speed, who was from Essex, and she was taking her kid to school? She'd set up her own business during the pandemic. Somebody who wasn't looking for handouts, somebody who had get up and go, and she was off to work, off on the school run prior to work last October, when somebody from Insulate Britain, and they gathered around the M25, stopped in front of her car. She got out. She remonstrated in no uncertain terms. She then, with her car, sort of nudged a couple of people forwards. As a result of all of this, she has now had to admit, well, not had to, but she has admitted, driving dangerously. She has had provisionally her licence taken away, and there will be a sentence of some kind given to her on the 6th of May. Let's have a look. Let's have a listen at Sherilyn on that day in October.
Push her! Push her! That's it! Push her up the road!
She's gonna hit you.
Come on, push her!
I'm not joking, my son needs to get to school. I need to
push him up the road!
Move out the way now!
Hey, look, that's it! That's it! Push her! Go on! Push her! Get out the road!
Road then. Someone needs to move them out the way! Move out of the way now! Move out!
Well, there was a mother and a self-employed businesswoman absolutely enraged that these selfish so-and-sos were stopping her and her son from going about their day's business. I don't blame her one bit for being very, very angry. And all right, you probably shouldn't use the car to shunt those people forward. You probably shouldn't do that. But I'll bet there's a lot of you sitting at home feeling more sympathy right now for Sherilyn than they're feeling for those very, very selfish and I think in many ways hugely misguided protesters.